What is going on, Crimson Tide fans? Chris Daughtery here with the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. Appreciate everybody who is joining us here for today's video. We're going to be talking some Alabama recruiting today. The Crimson Tide hosted multiple recruits this past weekend for multiple unofficial visits as well. So we're going to break down some updates from that from both On3 and 247 Sports. Now, if you guys want us to continue doing our Alabama basketball watch parties, make sure you guys are subscribed. Do not miss out. We've had a whole lot of fun in this ride now to the Sweet 16. So every single time Alabama wins a game, we're going to be going live for that next game as well. So do not miss out. Come hang out with us for our Alabama basketball watch parties. We've had a lot of fun. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button for me right now. All right, the first player that I want to touch on today is Jorden Edmonds. He ended up visiting Alabama this past weekend, and from all accounts, it seems like it went pretty well yet again for Edmonds. He's now the #1 cornerback per the 247 Sports Composite rankings in this 2026 recruiting class, and as of right now, anyways, it seems like Alabama is the team in the lead for Jorden Edmonds. He's got multiple predictions for Alabama now with On3 and 247 Sports. So as of right now, it seems like Alabama's doing a pretty good job in his recruitment. This is what Steve Wiltfong of On3 said about this past weekend's visit. He said, after talking to several sources on Saturday night regarding Edmonds' recruitment, I've joined BamaOnline and On3's Chad Simmons in predicting the coveted defensive back to ultimately land in Tuscaloosa. Coach Mo Linguist has been leading the charge in recruiting Edmonds, who is also high on the likes of Georgia, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. It's Alabama setting the pace. Edmonds has an official visit scheduled for June, including Alabama the weekend of June 20th. But it wouldn't be surprising to see him make a decision sooner rather than later. Now, if you remember back, I believe that date was February 19th. Edmonds was originally supposed to make his commitment then, but pushed it back for some different reasons out there. Then said he was going to take some of his unofficial visits and possibly make his decision then, but we're still kind of waiting in the wings to see what happens with him. Now, there are some other cornerback targets that Alabama is also going after. You got Brody Jennings in there. He's got an official visit scheduled for May 30th there. He's the number 22 cornerback in this class. You also have Brandon Arrington. He's got an official visit scheduled for June 13th. Caden Harris, Zion Gibson, currently right now committed to Alabama is Zion Gibson, and Elbert Hill, all scheduled official visits on June 20th. Now, Edmonds this past weekend was the only cornerback in attendance for a visit with Alabama, so they got a lot of one-on-one time with him. He's also going to be joining them Caden Harris, Zion Gibson, and Elbert Hill there on June 20th. So is going to be able to have a chance, talk to guys like Zion Gibson who are already committed to Alabama to see what, kind of their plans are, I guess, if you want to say that. But, this is going to be a very, very big recruitment. 5-star player. Brandon Arrington, also a 5-star player right there that Alabama is going after. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But Alabama right now doing a very, very good job in the recruitment of Jorden Edmonds. So let me know here in the comments section of today's video, will Alabama have another top 5 class in this year's recruiting class? Let me know what you guys think at the pinned comment of today's video. If that ad comes here on YouTube, that is totally fine. Get down there, take advantage of it, and let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no. Now, Elijah Golden was also on campus this past weekend, and I do want to make note for him as well. The 247 Sports Composite rankings has him a little bit lower than the 247 Sports rankings. The 247 Sports rankings has him as the 107 player overall, number 14 defensive lineman, number 13 player out of the state of Florida. So with the composite rankings, they take some of these other services into account as well. But he took his first ever trip to Tuscaloosa this past weekend, and he also has 2 more visits scheduled right now for April 4th. That one will be an unofficial visit, and then you have his official visit scheduled for June 13th through the 15th. He was able to watch practice this past Saturday inside the stadium, and he did also tell, I believe it was 247 Sports, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was on 3. It was in the same article as the Steve Wiltfong article there on Jorden Edmonds. He said his interest level right now in Alabama is a 10, so that is very positive. Also raved on his relationships with both Freddie Roach and Courtney Morgan as well. So those are the big 2 big-time recruiters right now for Elijah Golden. And he had a very, very impressive junior season, 61 tackles, 29 tackles for loss, and also 10 sacks. So Alabama right now definitely want to go after, multiple defensive linemen in this class and another edge rusher we'll talk about as well here in just a second. But first, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. You guys can go over to chatsports.com/CFB hoodies and get up to 30% off right now on some Alabama football gear. They've got hoodies, they've got crew necks, they've got quarter zips, they've got hats, they've got, I believe they even have shoes and stuff like that on the Fanatics website as well. So just go over to chatsports.com/bama hoodies, and you guys can get up to 30% off right now. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. And if you can't find it down there, there will be a little clickable link right over there in the corner for you guys as well. So do not miss out. Get your Alabama football gear right now just by going to chatsports.com/bama hoodie. All right, the next player I want to talk about who visited this past weekend as well, KJ Ford, number 105 overall, number 13 edge in this class, also number 15 player from the state of Texas as well. He visited back in February, and he also made another visit this past weekend. Now, for KJ Ford, he's 6'3", 245 pounds, as he's listed on the 247 Sports website anyways. So to me, that sounds like he's a logical bandit fit for Alabama anyways. And I look at guys like, you're still looking for guys on the interior of that defensive line as well. I believe it was Andrew Bone a couple weeks ago said Alabama's looking to go after anywhere from 3 to 5 defensive linemen in this class. And I look at a guy like James Smith. He's playing more on the inside. He's 295 pounds right now. I don't know if adding 50 pounds would, really be realistic for him. You look at a guy like Keon Keeley. He's at that bandit position. He's 280 pounds. So I think adding 40 pounds is more realistic than adding 50 pounds. But I do think he is a guy that if Alabama wanted to, if they're able to get him a couple years anyways into the system, into the, strength and conditioning program, I'm sure they could put some weight on KJ Ford if they wanted to go that direction with him. He's very quick off the line of scrimmage, uses his hands very, very well. Alabama does also have Jamarian Matthews right now committed as an edge. He's only 220 pounds right now, as he's listed on the 247 website anyways. So if you're going to go that route to get one of these edge rushers and move them more on the inside, I do think KJ Ford fits that bill a whole lot more than Matthews would. But, we're just going to have to wait and see how Alabama would elect to use him. But as of right now, his current build and kind of how he's being played right now in the high school level, I do think he is a logical fit for that bandit position. Now, he did drop a top 12 as well this past weekend with Hayes Fawcett. You got Oklahoma, Texas A&M, LSU, Penn State, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Missouri, and USC all in the mix right now is for KJ Ford. So there's going to be a long, long way to go until this process is really going to be sorted out. But it does make me wonder, does Alabama go into the spring transfer portal to get another interior defensive lineman? Something we talked about a couple weeks ago with Kane Womack talking about, they don't necessarily feel really, really good right now in terms of the depth at that position. So, and he also mentioned that they would, address that before the season begins. So to me, that means they're going to go out in the spring transfer portal window and add an interior defensive lineman. So let me know here in the comment section of today's show, how many defensive linemen will Alabama take in the spring transfer portal window? Now, last update before we get out of here, just Tristan Keys, 5-star wide receiver in this 2026 class. He has committed to LSU, committed to them this past weekend. Now, there is a very, very, very long wait until signing day. If you remember back last signing day, Derek Meadows was also committed to LSU for a very long time. He ended up signing with Alabama on signing day. So I continue to believe that this is just my narrative that I want to push. I think Brian Kelly's super overrated, one of the most overrated college football coaches out there. So we're just going to have to, wait and see how LSU's season kind of plays out. Doesn't always necessarily mean anything, but if they end up flopping again down the stretch like they did last year, I would not be surprised to see multiple flips and or decommitments for LSU on signing day or leading up to signing day. But for right now, Tristan Keys, unfortunately, the number one wide receiver, number one player out of the state of Mississippi, is committed to LSU.